This is ABC 7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Hi, I'm Ray Collins. Alan Cohn is off tonight. Our top story, we're learning more about a double murder-suicide in Bradenton. The sheriff's office says the center of it all was this man, 49-year-old Gallo Caballero Rivero. They say he had a prior record, including for battery. Yesterday, deputies found the bodies of 50-year-old Odalis Martinez Castile and her 12-year-old grandson at their home on 38th Avenue West. Rivera was Castile's boyfriend. Neighbors say they heard a lot of yelling from the house.
It would just be her yelling, and then we would see that he would be locked out. So he would tap on the windows or tap on the door, and it would go on for like an hour or two.
We wouldn't think there was anything going on that bad, but you don't know what happens behind closed doors.
Today, family and friends came to the home to mourn the loss of their loved ones. Neighbors plan to organize a candlelight vigil. New details now on another pair of deaths yesterday in Sarasota that involved drain cleaner. Police now say it appears this was also perhaps a murder-suicide. A relative found the bodies of 78-year-old Gertrudis Cintron and her 58-year-old son, Angel Alicia Estrada, inside a home on Margaret Street. One died in the home, the other at the hospital. The cause of the deaths is linked to drain cleaning chemicals. The former location of a controversial nonprofit could soon become a private school in Lakewood Ranch. The Center for Building Hope shut down its location nearly a year ago after filing for bankruptcy. Now, Newgate, a private Montessori school in Sarasota, is working on a contract to purchase the $2.3 million property. The school plans to skip renovations and start classes as soon as September. Newgate's headmaster says he hopes to carry on the spirit of the charity in some small way.
We saw a building that obviously had been a very meaningful charity in this town that was now on the market. We felt somebody needed to keep this out of the commercial market, keep it in the nonprofit world.
Newgate already operates a location in Sarasota. It's hoped the new building will help them nearly triple enrollment in the future. Manatee County just approved over $1 million to hire more personnel for public safety. The proposal will add new 911 operators, paramedics, and staff at the sheriff's office. The county will dip into reserves to fund the additions. The sheriff says these new hires are long overdue.
There are positions that are needed because in dispatch, for instance, we're operating with the same people that we began with back in the 1990s, and the calls for service are, in the thousands now a day.
Also today, the county commissioners approved $50,000 to hire a new Veterans Services officer in Manatee County. Another day, another first in the fight against the Zika virus. The Centers for Disease Control is issuing its first ever travel advisory within the U.S., specifically for the Miami Wynwood neighborhood. State officials say Florida is well prepared, though, to fight the virus because of sanitation requirements here and also local mosquito control agencies.
We're going to beat this, and we're going to move forward, and Florida is very much going to remain the state that is known for its exceptional outdoor activities and opportunities, and this will just be one more of the interesting chapters written about Florida.
Health officials advise you to dump any standing water to prevent mosquitoes from breeding in the backyard. Meantime, Florida Senator Bill Nelson wants to pass an emergency spending bill for Zika totaling $1.1 billion. The Senate actually approved the plan last May, but the House version included other issues, ranging from easing rules on pesticide spraying to defunding Planned Parenthood clinics in Puerto Rico. Well, Nelson wants a pro forma session, which would not require the entire Senate. Stay tuned on that one. Well, some showers right now across the area. Let's get the first forecast from our chief meteorologist, Bob Harrigan.
Great, thanks. I'll tell you what, we've had some storms around. Most of the activity starting to wind down now. A little bit less action than we saw about an hour and a half ago, which produced up to 2 to 3 inches of rainfall at times in South Sarasota County and into Charlotte County as well. Here's a look at the review of what was going on in Casey Key. Boy, some big storms moving through there. And now you'll see just one lone shower off of Casey Key into the Gulf, and that is going to continue to move away from land. You can see those bigger storms around earlier, around 3:30 to 4 o'clock, and then most of the activity, as I said, winding down. Still a pretty big patch of showers along I-275 and 75 exchange there. Light rain occurring over portions of the airport, just very light right now. So all in all, your evening plans look to be okay. Some showers still lingering near Northport, but that activity winding down as well. Rainfall estimates, some of that in the darker green that you see, over 2.5 inches of rain just to the north of Northport. Currently at the airport, we have some debris clouds left over. 80 degrees, the dew point 70. It's cooled down a little bit after the high was 93 today, well above the average of 90. And down south, the tropical system, tropical storm Earl continues to churn away toward the west, looking a little bit better organized this evening. And the latest on it will continue to move off to the west, eventually making landfall sometime late Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and then moving off toward Mexico in time. So it's going to stay well south of Florida and will not be a factor here at all. What will be a factor are more afternoon and evening storms each and every afternoon. I think that will be the case right in through the work week and into the weekend, too, with the rain chances staying fairly high. For boaters, seas will be running less than 2 feet through the remainder of the evening, and then again for tomorrow. The extended forecast does call for a good chance for scattered storms throughout the next 7 days. This is fairly typical for this time of year.
That time of year, okay.
Right.
Thank you, Bob. Still to come, algae continues to spread in the Sunshine State. Find out what's going on and what's being done to stop it.
Need new windows? Buy direct from the factory. New South Window is having a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Buy 4 windows, save 25%. Buy 6 windows, save 30%. Buy 8 or more windows and save 35%. How? Because New South owns the factory and you cut out the middleman. Award-winning, energy-efficient windows and doors installed with a lifetime warranty. New South Windows are made in Florida for Florida homes by Florida workers. Visit newsouthwindow.com or call now.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop pad that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
ABC 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
It's a problem that continues to grow around Florida, literally. An algae bloom from Lake Okeechobee is suffocating the waters off of South Florida. Environmentalists say the problem is man-made and requires an urgent response. A closer look now from our Christopher Brantley. Christopher?
Well, that's right, Ray. Scientists say this algae is unlike anything they've ever seen. It's spreading into the Atlantic Ocean and could find its way into the Gulf, putting the Suncoast in danger. Green algae, as thick as guacamole, is overwhelming water systems throughout Florida. Just how it got to this point is the subject of controversy. Government officials are blaming underground septic tanks, but scientists have a different answer.
It's called Lake Okeechobee. It used to be a freshwater lake that was fed by runoff from streams and rivers heading south, and the water then would flow through the Everglades.
Frank Jackalone is the Florida director of the Sierra Club. He says nearly 100 years ago, a dike was put into place to divert the natural flow of water from Lake Okeechobee, sending it towards the Indian River Lagoon, Atlantic Ocean, and Fort Myers.
That water is dirty. It's polluted with nitrogen and phosphorus, and those are the very elements that fuel algae.
So why is this algae bloom happening right now? Dr. Vincent Acomia, a research scientist from the Florida Oceanography Society, says Lake Okeechobee is being contaminated with fertilizers and other chemical runoff. When that tainted water mixes with fresh water, you get algae.
It's running off nutrients, so the nutrients are coming with the fresh water. And so that combination plus warm temperatures is going to create the conditions to cause these kinds of conditions.
Here on the Suncoast, we saw a similar situation that forced the closure of Nokomis Beach.
You go a little bit south of Nokomis Beach, we have a system that's called Cowpen Slough that drains into the jetty, north and south jetty area that carries agricultural runoff with it when we have storm events.
Removing the algae is not a simple process, and once it's in the water, it can be dangerous.
The skin rashes are a possibility. Certainly don't want to drink the water. That can have intestinal problems as a result of ingestion of water that has high levels of bacteria.
Ending the crisis comes down to one factor: money. Scientists are asking the government to purchase land south of Lake Okeechobee to use it as an outlet for contaminated water rather than diverting it towards the coasts. Governor Rick Scott instead is using state money to help residents replace septic tanks. Jackalone says the approach could help, but at this point, Lake Okeechobee itself has become a septic tank.
It's a cesspool, or to use Governor Scott's term, it's a septic tank, but a really big one.
In an attempt to put pressure on the governor, Florida Congressman Patrick Murphy delivered a bottle of the toxic algae to Scott's office.
We have to continue looking at the projects that are underway that have been approved, get those things funded, stop pointing fingers, and do more.
No word yet if it's worked. As a solution is discussed, the only thing regular people at home can do is avoid using outdoor chemicals.
Fertilizers should be used for the production of food, not necessarily for the greening of someone's lawn. You can very easily have a nice looking lawn without the use of fertilizers.
Well, environmentalists tell us not using fertilizers is a gradual solution, but they say over time it could prevent this algae from forming, right?
Okay, good story. Thank you, Christopher. Up next, the experts and our roundtable.
Attention, this is an important message for anyone who had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to their heart or lungs. Did your IVC filter move, break, or cause organ damage? The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, even death. If you or a loved one suffered serious complications, call IVC Filter Helpline now. You may be entitled to compensation. IVC filters are designed to prevent blood clots. If your IVC filter moved or broke and you suffered heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, or if a loved one died as a result, call IVC Filter Helpline today. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. You'll pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call today for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone. Call IVC Filter Helpline now.
Please call 800-897-6764. That is 800-897-6764.
Whether you're a homeowner looking for a professional installation or a contractor looking for top quality products, Sarasota Glass and Mirror can meet your every need.
For 42 years, Sarasota Glass and Mirror has been the area's premier supplier and installer of quality glass products for your home or business. As an authorized PGT WindGuard dealer, we know how to protect your home with everything from the PGT WindGuard impact-resistant windows and doors to shower enclosures and decorative mirrors. The Sarasota Glass and Mirror team has the knowledge to tackle any project.
Just because someone grows older, does that mean they have to grow apart from their friends or from the things they love to do? With Right at Home, it doesn't. Right at Home's professional team thoughtfully selects caregivers to help with personal care, housekeeping, meals, and most of all, staying engaged in life.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Are you ready to go?
Oh, I sure am.
We can provide the right care right at home.
For more now on that algae crisis, we're joined by Glenn Compton, chairman of Minnesota 88, and Mark Alderson, executive director of the Sarasota Bay Estuary Program. Gentlemen, thank you both for your time tonight. Mark, we'll start with you. What exactly happened? And before I even ask you the question, a lot of the folks watching aren't exactly experts either on algae right now, so we'll keep this at a 101 level. What happened this past summer that really put this in the news?
Well, if you put too many nutrients in the water, and with the size of the input that happened in the Indian River Lagoon from Lake Okeechobee and the other sources, which include septic tanks, you are going to get algae blooms, and they've just been exacerbated by the 20 inches of rain that we had falling on Central Florida that filled up Lake Okeechobee, and then the water had to be released somewhere. So they released it down the St. Lucie River, and so we have those massive algae blooms that took place in the river itself. But then to the north and up toward Jacksonville, other sources of pollution are causing the problems up there. And you have blue-green algae and brown algae up to the north, and they may and are probably being caused by other sources.
And so we had a state of emergency in 4 counties, including Lee County and Fort Myers, because the Caloosahatchee River goes from Lake Okeechobee. So Glenn, there's a problem in Lee County as well?
That is correct because of the discharges that come from Lake Okeechobee, but also we have our own local problems too. We have to take a look at land use patterns that have taken place in the past. We have had some major historic mistakes in terms of the way that Florida was developed that allows for stormwater runoff to run off quickly into our estuaries and into our saltwater environments. And these are not going to be easy solutions to fix.
It's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube in this case, obviously. And you think some major habits have to change of residents to have this thing solved?
Certainly that would help in the solution. We also have to take a look at future land use plans that are taking place to make sure that they don't allow for discharges into our freshwater and saltwater environments in this area. That's a difficult thing to achieve because we're growing so rapidly. We have some land use issues that are really difficult things to resolve to try to eliminate the problem that we have today. And it's more people means more pollution, and we're going to have this problem as an ongoing, reoccurring issue.
Are you generally encouraged by what you see in Sarasota and Manatee County as far as the commissioners go?
I'm not encouraged basically by the fact that the amount of development that is being approved and the requirements for stormwater runoff and the water quality standards that have to be met are relatively weak, not only in our counties but also statewide. So we can also discuss the problem of the poor water quality standards that we have in Florida that allow for these kind of situations to occur.
But a lot of good things have happened. As you can see here by this chart, we've had significant increases in seagrasses. So as you reduce your algae in the water column, you get better water clarity, and that's what's occurring here, resulting in better photosynthesis to the grasses on the bottom of the bay, which are allowing our grasses to improve. In fact, we're above 1950 right now in Sarasota Bay. We've virtually eliminated wastewater discharge to our bay here. We only have one wastewater discharge left, which is Siesta Key Utilities, and the county is about ready to construct a pipeline to take that discharge to Bee Ridge, the Bee Ridge plant, and that discharge will be eliminated as well. We're working on the septic to sewer program. Indian River has not taken on that septic to sewer program. We have here in Sarasota County, and we are about 70% complete with that system. So a lot of good things are happening. I agree with Glenn. You know, more can happen. We have a danger of red tide here. We've seen some statistical relationships between discharges of water down the Caloosahatchee River out into the Gulf of Mexico, and red tide actually developing 2 to 4 months later. So we have to be very, very vigilant with regard to what we're doing with fertilizers, what we're doing with our wastewater and our stormwater right now, so that we can limit any impact that red tide may have on our area.
Now, your chart shows that Sarasota County has made improvements since 1950 when it comes to total seagrass coverage. Yeah. Did that happen because of some elected officials' decisions?
Elected officials that both in Manatee and Sarasota County have been pro-environment for the most part, and therefore approved the septic to sewer program and the other wastewater programs that we've had happen in our area over the last 2 decades.
And I would have to say that local governments have come into this kicking and screaming, and with the threat of lawsuit and having lawsuits in terms of the sewage treatment plants that existed in the past. So there was a lot of citizen initiative that really wanted to see the bays get cleaned up from where they were in the past. And we're starting to see the results of that now with seagrass coverage. But we still have the issue of continued growth in the state of Florida and the increase in discharge as a result of that.
So this isn't all science. Politics are also entering this, because I heard in Christopher's piece that government officials are blaming underground septic tanks. Do you buy that?
That's a portion of the problem, no doubt. In terms of Lake Okeechobee, that's mainly an agricultural activity area, and agriculture, in my opinion, is currently underregulated, but yet one of the most polluting industries in the state of Florida. So we need to take a look at what agriculture has historically done as a land use and what kind of agriculture we want to encourage, and whether or not we can convince landowners to reduce their fertilizer applications when they grow their crops.
There's 600,000 septic tanks along the Indian River Lagoon.
Okay.
Unlike here, where most of our wastewater is under central sewer, and you can collect it and bring it to one point and then treat it and use different mechanisms to eliminate the discharge like we've done. But over there, they have about a $6 to $8 billion initiative they're going to have to undertake here to get the septic tanks under control in some areas of the bay. In the Indian River Lagoon, it depends on where you live. If you live down near the St. Lucie River, you're being dominated by Lake Okeechobee right now and the slime coming out of Lake Okeechobee. And that is predominantly agricultural sources, I think, as Glenn mentioned.
Now, in the course of my research for the show, I read that there is some reason for encouragement in that there's a aging dike, Lake Okeechobee, an 18-year process to restore it, nearly $1 billion. When will that be finished, and might that solve some problems?
I'm not sure when it will be finished. If you're looking at the federal government to fix a problem over a short period of time, that usually doesn't happen. But again, these are historical mistakes that are not easy fixes. And what we know is that if you want to reduce the amount of pollution that goes into a waterway, it's better to treat it at its source than to try to clean it up later. And that's basically what's being proposed now, is to try to fix a historical mistake.
They also have a reservoir proposed on the Caloosahatchee River to capture the first flush out of Lake Okeechobee. And that reservoir may also be big enough to, in most years, capture the entire flow. However, when you have 20 inches of rain in March, like we had in Central Florida, it's not going to capture it. And that's what we're suffering from right now.
You know, I've done a lot of stories on the government cracking down on stormwater runoff. Residents can be sanctioned if they don't play by the rules. Do you think the government's doing enough?
In terms of urban runoff, there are regulations that do address that kind of a runoff. But if you're looking at agricultural runoff, it's virtually unregulated, except for maybe dairy operations in the state of Florida. So that in itself, Lake Okeechobee demonstrates the problem we have when we have under-regulation of fertilizer and agricultural runoff. In terms of telling our residents what they can do, they certainly should not be using fertilizer on their lawns. Fertilizer is a product of phosphate mining, which also has its impact in the state of Florida. There's no reason to use fertilizers. Phosphate is a very valuable resource. It's far more valuable than oil, and we shouldn't be wasting it on lawns.
Mark, 10 seconds left. Go ahead.
I think there's ordinances in place that prohibit fertilizer application in summer months. So certainly here in the summer, there's no need to put fertilizer on your lawn. So abide by the local ordinances and refrain from doing it.
Good advice. Okay, Glenn, Mark, thank you both for your time tonight. Great to have you there. When we come back, some viewer mail on last night's show. Stay with us.
US Med has great news for anyone living with diabetes.
If you have Medicare, private insurance, or prescription drug coverage, US Med will ship a new glucose meter right to your home.
And shipping is free.
My new meter uses only a speck of blood, so it's less painful than my previous meter.
If you have Medicare, private insurance, or prescription drug coverage, you're covered with US Med. We're welcoming new patients, even if your current provider can't supply you anymore.
I don't even have to test on my fingers anymore. I can test on my hand or forearms, and it's more accurate than my old meter.
So call US Med today, and you'll have a choice of 2 great meters.
One that actually speaks your results, or a meter so small it fits in the bottle of strips.
Act now, and US Med will include a free prescription discount card. We'll also send you a free diabetes cookbook. This is your opportunity.
So call US Med today.
You'll be glad you did.
Batteries Plus bulbs keep stacks of batteries for cars, cell phones, watches, plus light bulbs for lamps, can lights, and appliances right on hand. Did I mention we also repair smartphones? Batteries Plus bulbs. Trust the plus. Visit Batteries Plus bulbs today.
This is a special health alert for seniors suffering with joint pain.
If you have Medicare insurance, you may qualify for high-quality support braces at little or no cost.
I'm thrilled with my knee braces.
Now, there is a simple and proven solution for seniors to get out of pain with state-of-the-art support braces.
I barely feel any pain at all.
Braces for your knees and back, as well as your shoulders and ankles, too.
I'm so happy with the quality of these braces.
Call now, and you could qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost.
I can play ball again, and it doesn't hurt.
And because of my Medicare coverage, it costs me next to nothing.
So call now.
And because I have this red, white, and blue Medicare card, my braces have cost me just about nothing.
It's true. You may get a knee, back, shoulder, and ankle brace at little or no cost.
They qualified me for 2 knee braces and a back brace.
If you have knee or back pain, give them a call. They can help.
1-800-476-8967. 1-800-476-8967.
Well, the countdown continues. 98 days to Election Day. Last night we recapped the national conventions, and here are some of the thoughts you had on our Facebook page today. Cheryl Kaczynski writes, "These conventions were a nightmare. I sure hope I wake up soon." Roger Dresden wrote, "Ringling Brothers would be hard-pressed to put on a better circus than the 2 conventions that we just saw." And Shannon Wiltshire wrote, "I expect more division of the American people for political gain by the candidates with their divide and conquer techniques." If you want to comment, go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/news at 7. I'm Ray Collins. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tonight at 11.